to one of the best people I know. This is for Coral Ann. And happy birthday! Come on, everybody! Let's sing happy birthday to Coral Ann! To you!
Happy birthday
To you! Yeah, come on, everybody!
Happy birthday to you.
To Coral Ann! Come on, everybody!
Happy birthday to dear one.
Who? Coral!
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah! One more time.
From good friends and
Oh, this is the best! Happy birthday!
from
Every year is a magical one. It doesn't matter what anybody says. A number is just a number.
with you.
Next year is the same as this year, because it feels like it.
Yes, too.
We love you, Coral Ann.
There's look at this thing. It's rotating.
What was in the skies over Jerusalem, and why did it downward its treasured sites in Christianity?
All right. Welcome to Goof On, everybody. I'm Rich Giordano, and it is December the 9th, Thursday, 2021. And a happy birthday to Coral Ann. One of the first, what are you people over here? Mods, ma. We got however many meatballs that Coral needs for her birthday. We've got the truck parked out back for you. Anytime you're ready. Minivan. Sorry, I had to say minivan full of meatballs for you and yours on your birthday. Very happy for you, because you know what it does? It marks another year of breathing this air, living the life, giving, loving, being loved, all emotions rolled up into 1 year. What was your favorite? What was your worst? Only you know. Your little diary knows. And the ghosts that surround you know. I digest. Tonight we got a pretty interesting show for you. They're all right. It's an okay show. It's nothing. Actually, it is something. Because I couldn't believe what I saw. And it's funny because Stavro sent me the video. It's Mike Barra, of all people, speaking the English language of ufology from the tongue that I spit it through. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was watching my show. I'm like, Stavros is what? He's like, did he change? I'm like, I don't know. I thought Mike Barra used to believe everything. You know? I guess not. And I tell you, it's so close to what I say here. It's almost as if he plagiarized some of the stuff. The verbiage is the same. I swear to you. I'll play a few clips from it. I can just throw a dart on this recording I'm going to play from Mike Barra. And it'll be something I said. It's pretty wild to know. And he's like, I don't know anybody else who's spitting out these truths that I am. Well, we don't know if they're the truth. He didn't say that. I said that. But he said, I'm the first No, wrong, Beaver. I was the first. I've been saying it for years. I should get credit, not Mike B. That's right, I said it. I'm tired of sitting down. Shut off. You know what I mean? These kids nowadays. I was impressed that somebody said what I say here. Who's this? William Bridges, again, the first one to support GoofOn with the $5. What would you say there? Ma, give my portion to Coral. Aw. Well, that's nice. So we'll have to give you a little extra. Ma, 20% bigger. Yeah, he's sharing. That's nice of you. And a nice way to start off the show with the $5 super chat. Appreciate it, because you're a long-time contributor to GoofOn. So I appreciate that. And, you know, usually we give a little video, something, a little clip to show our appreciation. We'll do that as a spinning balloon in the sky of donations. Because you are a continuing supporter. That is faux show. Thanks. All right. I want to talk about what or who out of a couple, Travis Walton, we might only be able to do two. I don't know. Rendlesham Forest and Bob Lazar, Bobby Lazaro, Roberto Lazario. Who has the best story, the most believable of those three? Let's just do two. Rendlesham. If we know Travis. The only reason I say we don't have to use Travis, we just talked about him. We haven't talked about Rendlesham. Like, I'm not getting into any seriousness. You know what I want to do? I want to play the Colonel Charles Holt's, not play, but read from the transcript of his recording of events. I don't know if y'all read the transcripts. I know you probably heard a recording, but what you probably heard was a modified recording. One that doesn't give you all the juicy details of a first date. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Is that Chuck Woolery? No, I'm Chuck Woolery. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Remember that? I love that show. Yeah, don't bring it back because it won't be the same. Hey, who's this guy? Tim Frick with a $5 super sticker. Super sticker. Let's see what it is. I gotta wait for the screen to rotate. Is that another? Wait, who's that? Why do I know those people? Hold on, let me get this first one here. I'm a little confused. I missed one? Well, here's Tim Frick. It's a how's it going workout pair. Going like this, laying on its right side. Thank you very much. Tim Frick, everybody. Mucho gusto generoso, Cerso. A continuing supporter of GoofOn. See, now I only see two. Oh, here's three. Margaret. Hey, Peggy. How you doing with the $5 super chat? I almost missed you. Let me pull up the major screen so I don't miss anybody. Because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, and I really shouldn't be. I'm telling you, my voice is shot. My whole throat is gone. Oh, whoa. There's a new feature on YouTube. I'll have to go back to that. All right, let me make sure I got all the super people. Oh, my goodness. Holy crap sticks. Oh, wow. All right, so Margaret was the first one. Okay, then Mr. Bridges, Tim Frick, and then Ash. Well, thank you, Margaret. Peggy, for the first, you're the first one tonight. You kicked off the show. Thank you very much with the $5 super chat. Yeah, that's right. And then I'll do the intro, roll call, and then we'll get the show started. Thank you. We go through a little routine, a little bit of niceties. You know, never used to be that way. Thank you, Margaret, Peggy. Mucho gusto generoso, and a continuing supporter of GoofOn. Now you are. Tim Frick, and then the last one, Ash Dobbs. My friend Coral Ann, happy birthday. Aw. Yep. Coral, it is, you know, when I saw it was your birthday, thanks to Dorothy, I immediately wanted to say hello because it was getting late in the day, and usually I'm a day late. It was so-and-so's birthday. I'm like, damn it. I'm not a Facebook guy. You know, I only use Messenger, and that doesn't give you, you know, anything except messages. But I wanted to say thanks for everything you do. Coraline, so does Ash Dobbs, and everybody here appreciates what you do. Ash Dobbs is a continuing supporter of GoofOn. Been around a while. Thank you. Mucho gusto, generoso. Somebody out there doesn't like that I do these. Hates it. Hates that I say mucho gusto, generoso. But if you haven't noticed, I'm not taking away from the show. I'm adding 15 minutes to every show usually to make up for all those mucho gustos. See? I'm thinking of you. Ah, man. But it is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. You guys are working your asses off right before the holiday. I know it. I feel it. I can tell. And I appreciate that you guys support GoofOn. That's how we roll 6 nights a week. And without you, really, it would just, I don't know, be half. I don't know. I appreciate it. I just don't know how to express it. I can't even look up. I feel too humbled. I don't deserve it. No, I do. I do. It's just a weird feeling from day one, man. I don't know. I can't put my fingers on it. But you guys are fantastic. The holiday season is here. It's snowing in Hawaii. They got the tallest mountain on the face of the planet. Snowing up there, 75, 80 degrees down in the valley. It's a beautiful thing. What's going on over there? I think it's, is it Mauna Lea? Mauna Kona? Hapakui? Tricky Dicky? Mike Barra. Yeah, it's pretty good, man. I couldn't believe it. So I want to start off with this James Webb telescope that's going 1 million miles away from Earth. The moon is approximately 236,000 miles away. Yeah? No? It's going, 750,000 miles further. That's just to get away from the Earth's atmosphere, reflectiveness of Earth and moon combined. It has a nice big shield, but there's a video here I want to show you from James Webb Space Telescope. Not only will this telescope see deeper, further than any other telescope in the history of time, we may find that it just goes on forever and ever. Because what they're going to do, they're going to have a lot of different spectrums on there. And they're going to be able to see approximately 50% further than Hubble. Which means if Hubble sees about 14 billion light years into the future past, then we will see 21 billion light years. So if we can see 21, then maybe next time we see 35. And we just keep getting better, and I can't believe it. But it's been delayed since 2013-14, around that time. It's been delayed. But anyway, this is spacecraft fueling. It's just cool to look at. That's the reason. That's all I'm playing this for. And then we'll get into some reality. Bob Lazar, Rendlesham. I have transcripts. I have recordings. It's going to be a good show. So, as the kids say, strap yourself in. Because we're going to go for a ride. See? I told you. There it is right there. There's your ride. Oh, that was it. Pretty cool video, right? I mean, they showed us everything we needed. Everything. The whole thing lasted that long. Imagine. Hey, come on now. Yeah, that's what you want in space. Why do all these guys wear glasses? You know, get the LASIK surgery. I don't want you having any reflections, even though you got your non-reflective sun, your optics there. And I don't trust them. Something's wrong. Anyway, I can't play the whole thing. I guess I could because it is NASA, right? Screw it. Yeah, NASA's public. Look at him. Didn't that look like Marco Rubio? No, the other guy. The fuel will allow Webb to maintain its orbit at a point and point it. He's like, hold it! This guy here, he's like, come on, hold it! Look. He was so scared. Anyway, next stop is the vehicle assembly building where they will be placed into the rocket and the Webb telescope journey to space continues. Launch date unknown. Unknown? We need to go out further than we ever have before. Deeper than we've ever been. We are smarter because of new technologies. Yet, we're still a little green around the collar. Ew. Hey, yesterday I was on Alien Addict, right? I just want to get out of there. I'm not interested. Are you watching the Jussie Smollett case? You watching this POS? Unbelievable. Remember Jussie Smollett? What is it? Chevero? Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated? He's the guy who made up the story that he got attacked in Chicago at 2 a.m. minus 20 degrees in Chicago. He went out to get a Subway sandwich. Was attacked by two guys wearing MAGA caps. Nigerian bodybuilders, by the way. Yeah. This is MAGA country! You, boppity bop. I'm gonna put a noose around your neck. Don't move. Alright? Open your mouth. Open your mouth. I got bleach I want to pour down it. Hold him, Johnny. He wrote a check. That's a cash job. What are you doing? That's Hollywood. Yeah. In Hollywood, you write a check. See, that's the thinking of Smollett. He thinks he'll never get caught. That's how blinded he was by Trump. Yeah, I'm talking about it. I don't care. My show. Jussie Smollett should get 3 years for what he did. 3 years. Because he enticed some riots. Mainstream media was saying all sorts of stuff. This is the 2019 that we live in now. It's Trump, it's racism. It wasn't. Isn't that amazing to you? Don't you find that interesting in this world we live in? Everything that's on mainstream media, including you, Lou, is a lie. It is. Now, you can go back to when Bob Lazar went on the television, even further back to 1980, when the Rendlesham Forest incident took place, and even further then to 75, where Travis Walton, they lied because he failed his lie detector test. I almost said drug test. He failed it. That's all the media is. It's a platform of lies to control you and me into believing what they want us to believe. And then when we have the proof and show you that they're lying, cheating, stealing, you get mad at us. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at them. They lied to you. They hurt your feelings. I know you can't man up or woman up or whatever it is because your ego won't let you. One thing I've learned a long time ago is you got to put ego aside. Once you put your ego aside, everything's easy. You don't have to worry about competing with anyone except yourself. Whatever high expectations you have of yourself, that's all you have to worry about. That's all I worry about. Yeah, sure, I say it a lot, oh, that one person made the comment, so I'm changing the whole platform over one person. If I say that, it means I was already thinking it too. But I know what people do. I know how they gaslight situations. And that's why I rarely change. Even though I want to, I stick with what's right and, doing things a certain way. Because it's comfortable. I want to stay with what's comfortable. That's how I tell you the truth. That's how I feel when I look at a story. I'm not overly stressed, overly thinking, filled with rage. Although it may seem like it from time to time. There's rage there, but it's passion. And I'm seeing something that's happening to certain people in the community. They seem to have this rebirth because of the lies. Because they saw it too. And now they're on their soapbox talking about how they were right. And how they see through the veil of mainstream media, Lou Elizondo, everybody. You know what? People that are connected to Lou, Melinda Leslie, Christopher Mellon, Nick Pope, the whole group that usually you see, Corbell. I don't think Corbell and Lou have a relationship, like a real friendship. I don't think Lou has a lot of friends, to be honest with you. I think he sticks to one or two people and the rest are just puppets. But he is also a marionette. And Mike Barra, and I'm going to play a few clips here from Mike Barra because I find it refreshing that some people are changing. And it's okay to change. Put your ego aside. There's nothing wrong with that. Lou's not going to be mad. Lou knows what he's doing. What are you worried about? Oh, he's not going to come on your little podcast? It's okay. It's okay. He's using you anyway. They all are. Anybody you see on mainstream media, especially three people, Pope, Corbell, Elizondo. Those are the three people. Nick Pope shouldn't even be here. Talked to Third Phase about this, and Michael Roser, we talk about this. What has he done? The last 20, what has Nick Pope done? Filed away UFO reports for the MOD, took the important ones that seemed if they were a threat, or could be a threat to the British Empire over there. Those are the ones he would separate and give to his commander, whatever, the boss. So for years, Nick Pope has done nothing but that. He's a secretary. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only reason there's something wrong with it because he's making himself seem like he had the best secretary. It's almost as if he was like James Bond's assistant. You know what I mean? It's like she knew all the secrets. You know what I mean? But he did. Nick Pope did. He knew the shit that was coming in. He wasn't going out, though, and boots on the ground. And for the last, God knows how many plus 20, this guy hasn't done shit for the UFO community. Hasn't broken a story. Hasn't brought any new facts to the table. All right? So I worry about Nick Pope. Why is he there? Because I'm with the MOD. And that seems important to people in the public because it's this, oh, wow, he worked in the Ministry of Defense's Office for UFOs. Wow, I remember that guy. What's he doing now? Same thing. Nothing. And then, of course, you got Corbell, who's the mentor? George Knapp. It's George Knapp. George Knapp and his Jesus hands. And I am being trained by George Knapp, my mentor, who is teaching me everything. He is leaving me his legacy behind when he croaks. You can see it in his eyes and he's seething, Corbell. You can just see it. He can't wait to get all that information. which we'll talk about some of that. Element 115 video that Knapp supposedly had. Yeah. All right, threw it in there with some boxes. Only the most important find in history, other than going to another planet. He's got Element 115 on video, but I can't find it. It's in a bunch of boxes. Screw you. Been lying, sack of shit duty. Did I do roll call? Yeah. Sorry about that, Dorothy. And Coral, I don't mean to be disrespectful, giving the arm. Or, one of those. Who's this guy? Hey, the Baconator, Lee guy. Lou Kardashian. Yes! Yes! Lou is a Kardashian. From now on, if I remember, it's Lou Kardashian. That is the greatest name, dude. For $2, that's worth $200 right there. That's a good one. Lou Kardashian. I think I've seen it before. I think you might have said that before. Did you say that before? Seems familiar, but thank you very much. What do we got here for you today, my friend? This one? Thank you. Mucho gusto, generoso. And you could also use PayPal, Cash App, and become a patron if you want to help support Goof On. That's how we stay alive, kitten kittles. Thanks, Lee Guy. Very funny. Lou Kardashian, the LK. That's good. It's good stuff. Really good. Good. Pretty good. All right, here's some Mike Barra. I can't believe I'm playing a video from this guy.
UAPs ever. They're UFOs. That implies aliens and unidentified flying objects. It's almost, to my mind, a pretty much gigantic nothing burger. This is a copy
talking about June 25th.
Says in the executive summary, it says the limited amount of high quality reporting on unidentified aerial phenomena and UAP hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature and
let's go further.
Perception and require away from the prying eyes of the regular Army, the regular Navy, the regular Air Force. Means of propulsion, like a stealth airplane. All of this, every single bit of it is political. It is not scientific. It is not even openly discussing the presence of aliens or UFOs.
He says the same thing. Now, why am I using Mike Barra for this? Because thank God somebody else can see what we see. I want to cry. That's all. Did I see a super chat? Chris Rogers. It's a super sticker. Super soca sticker. Mucho gusto, generoso. Let's see what it is. I gotta wait for the thing. It's flipping. That's Lee's Kim Kardashian. Lou Kardashian. Hey, it's an ice cream cone. That's funny. That's good. Yep. Bubblegum ice cream. As a matter of fact. That's a good call, man. Thanks for that. Super mucho gusto genero. Oh, it gave you a super. Here you go. Thank you very much. 1.5 pounds. Egg. Gush all over your palms. So, here we go. Mike Barra.
This is about politics. The question we have to figure out is what politics and why? And what are they trying to sell?
Money! It's only about money.
Okay, so this brings us to a couple of months ago, 60 Minutes did a big special on UFOs. And they talked all about all this stuff. And they said, their pilots are seeing things. And I do not question what the pilots say they're seeing.
I do. Oh, you can't see me. I question it now. I think I have the best answer to this whole thing. All right, I'm going to ask you guys something. This is very important for ufology. I'm not even joking around because tonight's show pretty much is going to be a serious show. We have never seen on video a Tic Tac. Have we? You know what Fravor says, that it was like a ping pong ball inside of a cup. Moving really fast, side to side, right angle turns, taking off. Poof. Right? You and I have never seen that video. We've never seen somebody else record one of those. As a matter of fact, nobody has. And I know we can go on a lot of, channels that post videos where they're showing a white Tic Tac looking thing. But between you and me, I'm going to say I feel they're all planes. Just a little out of focus. Just a little further than they should be. Yeah. It's easy to make those airplanes look like Tic Tacs. And I know Third Phase is going to get mad at me. I can feel their superpowers inside of my veins. Stop it. I'm allowed to have my own opinion. But I'm telling you, I think the Tic Tac story is fake. Why? Where's the radar? Where's the video? Kevin Day almost cried about the whole thing. And I don't think his reason for crying about it is that nobody believed him. It's that nobody believed him about what? That they lied about the Tic Tac? Or that he saw the Tic Tac? Or that he was forced not to say anything about it? Or that he was forced to say what he said? And he was fearful for his life because he didn't want to. Who knows? Kevin Day screwed up, as far as I know. I don't want him around my military base at all. He's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, if you know what I mean. A little bit off the... He cries, loses his family, gets a divorce, starts drinking because nobody believes him. What are you, 8?
I think it's probably very legitimate sightings, but again, you know...
No, Rich, he's just passionate. I'm passionate too. But I didn't get a divorce, start drinking, lose my job. Oh, yeah. Nah.
Why are we talking about this?
I didn't.
60 Minutes did this big thing. Now, a lot of people thought this was a very big deal. I know some of the people in our community were all excited, jumping all over themselves. Oh, we made 60 Minutes. But the problem is very few people watch 60 Minutes anymore. It is the mainstream.
Well, I have to disagree with Mike there because I think 2 million people watched that episode. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of the world. But Mike does also bring up some interesting things that we talk about here. Here's where, we've seen UFOs for 2 years just about every day. Every day? Uh-huh. You don't think I know my stuff?
So why are they trying now to convince us that aliens might be real? This is the thing we have to ask the question. Why are they telling us that aliens might be real? And then they bring in some pilots. And again, I don't know what's with that haircut, but this guy comes on.
What's wrong with his hair?
Stories about how he's...
Wait a minute. Mike Bear is talking about his hair? And he's got this? Wow. I wouldn't even do that. I mean, how can you talk about Ryan Graves' hair that way? That's weird. Do you remember when Mike Berry used to have the bowl cut? He'd have his bangs go straight across like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. But anyway, he talks about the Batman balloon, which we don't know if it's the Batman balloon, but it does look like it. Oh yeah, remember this? Christopher Mellon talking about the party balloon. I can't believe how people... Not talking about it. It's calling this a UFO, I mean.
About the Nimitz presentation showing a glowing metallic UFO. Geez.
Aren't you embarrassed now that Christopher Mellon was actually showing that off? I can go way back here. You know what these all are.
Why are they telling us that aliens might be real? And then they bring in some pilots. And again, I don't know what's with that haircut, but this guy comes on and he's telling us these stories about how he's seen these weird things, these alien spacecraft, and we don't really know what they are. And then they show us a bunch of pictures of what people like pilots like him have reported. And they show us this picture, which I think has been seen before, of a shiny metallic looking object in the sky.
Which I think is a reflection off the glass. It also, like I've said before, this is from an iPhone camera. You can see the iris, and then inside here that's the iris, that's the outer rim. The housing, basically. It almost looks like a speaker. And then these dots here, it's because they're shake, and because of this and this line, this is shake that went up and down, left and right. So the camera went like that. Left a couple of dots when it stopped, and then went left to right, from right to left, and then there. I mean, it's not that hard to know what these things are, and that to me looks exactly like a camera lens. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about it.
No context, but they show us this. It's a news magazine. It's not a detailed news report.
I know. We all know about all this.
Batman Mylar balloon for a little kid's birthday party that got loose and floated up into the sky. And the Navy pilots took a picture of it, and it got put on 60 Minutes as if it were a UFO. With no
By the way, GoofOn was the first to report that. The first. I got the information from somebody. It's not that I found it. Somebody gave it to me, said, this is what I think it is. And I posted it, talked about it on the show just an hour later. So we were the first one to talk about that. And then everybody followed suit. And of course, like always, never got credit for it. But it sure as hell looks like the Batman balloon. But they call it the Batman balloon because it looks, I guess, like it. But the shape is more of, you could put anything on here. Batman, Count Chocula, whatever you want.
Means of propulsion and all the things it talked about in that report. I mean, it's just, you can't make it up. That's clearly what it is. And then do a little screen share here. Okay.
So he does a really good, he mentioned something here about this. Remember this? This is splashdown. Splash, splash. Well, he did some really good analysis on this. I'm not an aviation guy, so I don't know if he is, but he knows more people in that line of work. I mean, the guy's been around forever. Listen to this part here. And then if it doesn't say it, I'll explain what this most likely is and why it disappears.
There's a reason why you cut that video. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, I want to hear a watch.
The object is off of the horizon. As you go through the video and after the cut, suddenly it's quite a bit lower.
No, I don't want this part. I want more.
Cell phone to my own computer screen. That's what you're recording. So you might notice some things. You notice you're getting some up and down bobbing of the ship as it flows through the water. It looks like you got some pretty rough seas there, but that's what's happening. And they're videotaping this thing. And then there's a cut. This is not a continuous set of footage. There's some sort of cut, and we don't know what the time differential is in there. So as we proceed through this, it's important to understand what we're looking at. This video is taken at night. And what they've got is they've got the infrared device. Typically, we call them FLIR or forward-looking infrared. It's really just an infrared instrument. That means it's really recording heat and has very low visual resolution. In addition, notice these numbers on here, how blurry and stuff they are. So the camera resolution is not great. That's recording the screen, which has already got an instrument that is not great visual resolution. So you're not going to see any dramatic visual details. What this means, because it's infrared and they've got it inverted, is that the warmer stuff is going to be dark and the colder stuff, like the night sky, is going to be light. So that's the night sky. This is the ocean. And this right here is the horizon of the ocean. I don't know what the distance is to the horizon. Somebody got after me for saying 2-3 miles. I don't know, 7-8 miles, 20 miles. I have no idea what the distance to the horizon is at sea, but it's fairly far away. I can explain one thing. You have to keep a scientific analysis going here. All that tells you is that whatever this thing was doing in terms of maneuvers was not so exotic. This seen as blob. Is it a Tic Tac? Could it be another one of these Tic Tac videos that we'll talk about in a minute? Well, I don't think so, because again, you're talking about an infrared instrument at some relative distance. We don't really know what that distance is. It could be close, it could be far away, but we're going to get some proof in a minute that the object is pretty far away. And what you're seeing is, if you were to see an airplane flying away in the distance, what you would see is at first, when it was close up, you'd see the outline of the airplane. You'd see the wings, you'd see the engines, but as it got farther away, let's do it this way, as it got farther away, all you would see is a heat blob.
Right. And then he's going to go into, there are some cuts that happen, and the object, for some reason, gets smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger. because there's some cuts done on the film for whatever reason. Don't know why. Then he says as it gets lower in the horizon, I just can't play anymore. I think I'm at my limit. But as this gets towards the horizon, I thought it was a flare. Remember, I said it was a flare entering the water, and then it would go up and down, and then it would go out. I like his explanation a little bit better. That's a heat signature off of a craft. Don't know, but it's far away. Maybe 20 miles, maybe 50. But what happens is it's going over the horizon, and as the ship is doing, this up and down with the waves, we get to see it go over the horizon. It's still going down, and then on the second one, it goes out forever over the horizon. That's what I think it is. Just a craft about 50, 60 miles away. They're seeing it on radar. They don't know what it is. Maybe it's China watching them. It's at night. But he brings up some other interesting things, and he's asking questions like, why now? Why on mainstream media now? What is the purpose of this now? He says he doesn't know. He says maybe it's funding to line their pockets. I mean, this is stuff I was saying. This is back in June. By the way, this was recorded back in June or July, even though it was just posted yesterday or the day before. He's talking about it being 100 degrees. And I think he's from Arizona, to be honest. Maybe California, I don't know. But he's out in that area. He says a lot of things that we do here. It's pretty interesting.
Solid, 4 or 5 minutes where it floats. If we reverse the film, it floats back up. Heat source, it floats back up.
Yeah, I just said
it gets
that.
Higher, it gets big. The airspeed is 250.
Then he goes over the radar of the gimbal. Some interesting stuff. I don't know why I can't find what he said about Elizondo.
And we looked at it. Don't want to do that. So what I'm saying, it had to be done by the 26th. And I think it's really interesting in the sense that this is a political response.
Anyway, he's saying the same things we did. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can go listen to that, because we got a lot more to talk about. So it is all for cash. That's what I said. Because when you look at it, Lou was with ATIP, and then he quit, went over to TTSA, took ATIP with him. Not the people, but apparently took some of the information with them. And they used To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences to study the work that they had. That's the rumor I heard. And that also has to do with the medals. That $35,000 that was sold to Lou from Linda Moulton Howe, who received them through who knows how, from their arts parts or something like that. But anyway, it's just nice confirmation. That's all. That's the only reason I wanted to talk about that. It's confirmation somebody else is saying identically, almost verbatim, what we say here. Now, I was just about to say, it is about money. It is. I'll tell you why. Hold on. Something's going on here. Oh, here we go. I haven't used that feature in a while. I don't understand. See, when things don't make sense, there's something wrong. Somebody's lying. Now, I'm going to repeat a lot of things I've said before because it's part of what we're doing in the field, and, it's a little slow right now. But Lou and Mellon, Mellon's loaded. He's got all the money he wants, but Lou doesn't, and maybe some other people don't. So because look, I don't know what Lou does. He hasn't done anything. I don't see any body of work. I don't see any signed documents with his name and or picture or ID with it. I see nothing from Lou. Nothing. So I think it's a way for them to get money from the government, from you and I. Get funded for what? For doing nothing. And now Lou is with the Galileo Project? Come on, man. We've talked about it before. Why? Why did he go? Why is Lou with Avi Loeb? Avi Loeb isn't a ufologist. He's a professor. He's a scientist at Harvard, right? We're going to search for interstellar-like objects in our solar system. That's what I found out they're going to do. But they're also going to point their telescopes out into the open interstellarly, but mainly it's to look around our solar system for stuff. Maybe another Oumuamua type object. That's the rumor. But it's going to cost like $100 million, and they're going to have to put all these telescopes around the circumference of the Earth, near Earth, or in orbit. Nobody knows. But it doesn't make sense. Why is Lou with Avi Loeb? Lou and Christopher Mellon. Brings up a lot of questions. Because it scares me. Because Lou is not here, and he said it before. This is how Lou gets an out. I am not here for disclosure. I would not, and I'm paraphrasing, I wouldn't threaten national security for disclosure. I would not violate my NDA for disclosure. So Lou's not here for disclosure. Because my question to Lou would be, just tell everybody what you know real fast. Say it. Lockheed Martin's got UFOs underground, fourth floor. Go there now. Swarm, swarm. He's not here for that. He's not willing to get thrown in jail. Here's a guy who came out of nowhere, 20 years service as counterintelligence for the United States Army. Now he's thrown into the UFO room. Why? It's not because of his ufology experience. It's not because he loves UFOs. Because he knows how to lie. With a straight face. And no chin. Yeah, Lou's dirty. Lou's no good for ufology. Don't give a shit what anybody says. They're all bad. I say that because they're not here for disclosure. Said it himself. And if Jeremy Corbell was here, you know what I would ask him? If he ever had the balls to talk to somebody who would give him a fastball right down the middle, maybe high and inside. How is he going to swing if I ask him, how do you not know that that's not Boca? How do you not know you're lying to everybody in the world? What do you say to that? Do you really believe that there's 14 craft out? You said 14 craft. We're swarming the Russell. And then we see Boca. We see a regular airplane doing 140 knots. What do you say to that, Jeremy? Well, I can only give you the data that I have, Richard. He would say something like that. And I'd be like, hey, man, why are you mad at me? I'm mad at you because I'm calling you out. That's why you're mad. You can't answer the question. You should be mad at the person that gave you that information. So did you go back to those people and ask them, what am I looking at here? You told me to say there were 14 craft. There's only 3 in my opinion. Well, there's none really, but, well, 1 if you want to count the moving airplane. So no UFOs, Jeremy. How about that radar? 3 little blips. Doing about 140 knots. Same thing. Nothing. And I don't see a whole swarm of them like you're telling me. You actually say, look at the radar. They're swarming. 3? Everything else too. All bullshit. Why is it where we can debunk this stuff and you're telling us we're all wrong? Everybody's wrong but you. Look, Richard, I can only tell you the information I have. If you don't like it, that's fine. Everybody has opinions. That's what he would say. And I can't get mad at you, Richard, for giving your opinion. Because what would it be? What good would it be if everybody just believed everybody? He would say some bullshit like that. So all the stuff we've gotten, it doesn't make sense. And then we go back in time to 1980, where there actually is evidence. Not visually, mind you, but audibly. The Rendlesham Forest, recordings of Colonel Charles Holt. That's why I like this one. I like talking about it because there is transcript where you could actually read what was actually said instead of just hearing snippets. And it's interesting. Let me pull that. Now, on my right hand to God, I could have sworn I had it all up. No. Well, I got Bob Lazar's. There's Bob Lazar's transcript. Here we go. Let's see. There it is. I got it. So it's a transcript. This is by Ian Ridpath. And this is from the Rendlesham Forest incident, 1980, December 28th. And, actually December 26th. But Holt wasn't there. He was at the 28th sighting. Now, throughout the events recorded on the tape, it's Bruce England who was guiding Holt around the site, and he is also the person who first points out the flashing light. England himself has never gone on record about the events that night, just so you know. I don't know if you know that, but as well as Holt and England, the main character heard on the tape is Sergeant Monroe Nevels, who was operating the Geiger counter. Nevels was a chemical defense instructor in disaster preparedness, not a nuclear specialist, and his unfamiliarity with the equipment he is using becomes apparent on the tape. And one other airman referred to by name is Bob, Sergeant Bobby Ball. And Colonel Holt has helped clarify certain exchanges and identify the voices, so this is the nearest we are likely to get an authorized version. And he's grateful for the assistance. So we're going to listen. I have the tape we could listen to, but I want to go over the transcript more. And this is part 1 of 3. I don't know how much I'll read. My throat's hurting, so I'll do the best I can. Let me get a drink. And you'll remember some of this. It's kind of fun to listen to the transcripts than it is to the tapes. I don't know. It's more detailed, I think. It's just different. It's almost like you're taking it out of context and starting over. It's not Gatorade. It is Crystal Light. It's got a little kick to it. All right. Holt says 150 feet or more from the initial, or should I say suspected, impact point. Maybe I should play the tape. Having a little difficulty. Can't get the light all to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. Gonna send back and get another light all. Meanwhile, we're gonna take some readings with the Geiger counter and chase around the area a little bit, waiting for another light all to come back in. You hear some background voices, including 6th Sergeant Bustinza Security Control. Says, that's Mark 1 of the pod number. Holt says, okay. Now we're approaching the area within about 25 to 30 feet. What kind of readings are we getting? Anything? Neville says, just minor clicks. Minor clicks. Holt says, where are the impressions? Is that all the bigger they are? England says, well, there's one more well-defined over here. Security communication says, Sergeant Bastinza, security control, halt. We're still getting clicks. Neville says, getting clicks. Security communication, we're out of gas. Security 6 boarding, East Gate, halt. Can you read that on the scale? Neville says, yes, sir. We're now on the 5/10 scale, and we're reading about 3rd, 4th make. Then you see a question mark. Perhaps he meant to say mark over. Halt says, okay, we're still comfortably safe here. Radio communications, Bastinza, do you happen to have a light all? Garbled security communication. Still, Halt says, minor readings. The second pod indentation. Neville's, nope, this one's dead. Let's go over to the third one over there, Halt says. Sergeant Bastinza. Neville's, yes, now I'm getting some residual. Halt, I can read it now. The meter's definitely giving a little pulse. England, about the center. Halt, I was going to say let's go to the center of the area next and see what kind of reading we get out there. You're reading the clicks? I can't hear the clicks. That about the center, Bruce? England, yes. Halt, okay, let's go to the center. Neville's, yes, I'm getting more. Halt, that's the best deflection of the needle I've seen yet. Okay, can you give me an estimation? We're on 0.5 scale. We're having trouble reading England at approximately 1.25 hours. Neville's, we're getting right at a half of a milliran. There's some burst of piano music. This is actually Colonel Halt's daughter playing and is an accidental over-recording. That's weird. Halt, best point. I don't see it go any higher. Voice, is it ball? It's still flying around. Halt. Okay, we'll go out towards the Neville's. Now it's picking up. Halt. This is out toward the number 1 indentation, where we first got the strongest reading. Yeah, it's similar to what we got in the center. So what they're doing is they're at the landing place of where one of the triangles landed, and they're getting, off the 3 indentations, they're getting radiation clicks. So it goes on for a while, so I'm skipping over a lot. They still talk about it. All right, Halt, they get to a tree. He says, so this tree is between 0.2 and 0.3. Security communication. Burroughs and 2 other personnel requesting to ride him on a Jeep at your location. Ball. Tell them negative at this time. We'll tell them when they come out here. We don't want them out here right now. Halt. The sample. You going to mark this sample number 1? Neville's. Yes, sir. So now they're taking readings off the trees in the area and identifying them. Goes on for a while. Then they talk about a spot, then nothing. First spot, okay, that's what we'd call spot number 3. So they're just marking everything down, documenting everything. And that's on the transcript. I'm going still. I guess I need to find this is 3 of 3. Oh, here we go. Halt. I see it too. What is it? England. We don't know, sir. Neville's. Can I get some of those? Halt. It's strange. Small red light. Looks to maybe a quarter to half a mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off. Halt again. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. England. It's back again. Halt. Is it back again? England. Yes, sir. Halt. Well, douse flashlights then. Let's go back to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gone quiet now. We're heading out about 110, 120 degrees from the site, out through to the clearing now. Still getting a reading on the meter, about 2 clicks. Halt again. Needles jumped, 3 to 4 clicks, getting stronger. England. Now it's stopped. Now it's coming up. Hold on. There we go, about approximately 4 foot off the ground, at a compass heading of 110 degrees. Halt. He's turned the meter off. Gotta say that again. About 4 feet off the ground, about 110 degrees, getting a reading of about 4 clicks. England. Yes, sir. He sneezes. Now it's dying. Halt. Now it's dying. I think it's something other than the ground. I think it's something variable. England. Tree right over Halt, we just bumped into the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 to 200 yards from the site. There's a voice faintly saying, another one? Halt, everything else is just deathly calm. Halt, again, there is no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. England, sir, it's yellow. Halt, I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Another voice says, yellow. Halt, it's coming this way. It's definitely coming this way. Voice, pieces of it shooting off. Halt, pieces of it are shooting off. The voice in the background, at 11 o'clock. Halt, there's no doubt about it. This is weird. Voice, Neville's voice, to the left. Halt, definitely moving. Voice in the background, 2 lights. 1 light just beyond and 1 light to the left. Halt, keep your flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Get the headset on. See if it's getting any stronger. Neville's, I have. Halt, okay. Give us your Neville's. Make a notation that this is on a beta reading too. Halt, it's on a beta reading. Neville's, the beta shield has been removed. Halt, okay, pieces are falling off of it again. England, sir, it just moved to the right. Halt, yeah. England, off to the right. Halt, strange. Once again, left. Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. Do you want to do it without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Halt again. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you, still moving from side to side. And when you put your star scope on it, sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's England. Like a pupil? Yeah, Halt says. Like a pupil of an eye looking at you, winking. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye out. So, they got some interesting audio recording here. And I enjoy this a lot. This to me, is better than Bob Lazar. Because you don't have just one guy. Got several. 2 days. And these aren't just anybody. These are, some of them, trained observers. Here is the audio of it, just so you get a feel for how I was reading it. We'll skip a little bit here and there, but here we go. It should start. I don't know why it's not.
150 feet or more from the initial, I should say, suspected impact point. Having a little difficulty, we can't get the light on to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. Let's send it back and get another light on. Meantime, we're going to take some readings at the gather cutter and chase around here a little bit, wait for another light on to come back in. Yes, that's more than a prime number. Okay, we're now approaching the area within about 25, 30 feet. What kind of readings are we getting? Anything? Just minor clicks. Minor clicks. What are the impressions? There's one. Is that a little bigger they are? Well, there's one more well than security control.
Let's go to the weird.
Walk all over it. Come back. Okay. Looking out, spot number 1 today. Ready to head off my flash right there, sir. There it is. Hey, I see it too. What is it? We don't know, sir. So, can I get some?
This is what I just read.
Small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off it. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again? Yes, sir. Oh, that's the flashlight set. Let's move out to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now. Yeah, we're heading about 110 to 120 degrees from the site out through to the clearing now. Still getting a reading on the meter. About 2 clicks. Meter's jumped 3 to 4 clicks, getting stronger. Now it's Now it's coming up. Hold up. There we go. It's about approximately 4 foot off the ground. Compass has of 110 degrees. All right, just turn the meter off. You got to say that again. About 4 feet off the ground, about 110 degrees, getting a reading of about 4 clicks. Yes, sir. Yeah, meter. Excuse me. No, it's dark. No, it's not. I think it's something other than the ground. I think it's something variable here.
Tree right over.
We just found the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird. To the left? Yeah, definitely moving to the left. Two lights. One light to the front, okay. One light to the left. Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Get the headset on. See if it gets any stronger. Okay. Give us some rundown.
Notation that this is on a beta reading, too.
It's on a beta reading?
Beta
Okay.
still has been removed.
Okay. Pieces are falling off it again.
But it just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Right to the right.
Strange. Oh, why don't you go to the left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. You want to do it without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, or a dark center. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright through the star scope that it almost burns your eye. We passed the farmer's house and across in the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash.
And not only that, I think a little further down, I'm going to continue here in a second. There was a beam of light that came out of the craft within 3 feet of these guys. There's a beam coming out of it. So I want to get to that. I think it's coming up.
We just crossed the creek, and we're getting what kind of readings now? Getting 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky.
5 lights that looked identical. And as Andy Gambino mentioned, a lot of debunkers, and I'm talking the best in the world, said that these guys were mistaking a lighthouse for the light that was winking and seeing it every few seconds or every 20 seconds or whatever it was. They're trying to say that the light was rotating. You know how lighthouses do? And then when it went through the trees, it looked like it was winking at them. Come on, man. I mean, how stupid do you think we have to be? Then, don't you remember earlier in the year, the British general or our army guy who was there said that this whole thing was a hoax on the Americans because they used to play war games out there like training, and any time that the Americans captured the Brits, they called them aliens. Don't know why, that's just what they called them. So on these 2 nights, they were saying that this was a hoax perpetrated by the Brits to get back at the Americans for teasing them during training sessions, for hurting their feelings after all these years. The weird thing about it is Burroughs touched the craft that eventually lands. And it's a triangular craft. You can see it in the thumbnail I posted. As a matter of fact, I could pull it up here. And he got a message of, what was it, dots and flashes? Something to that nature. This is what the craft looked like. Let me pull it over for you guys. I'll pull it over in a second. Listen to the rest of this.
244, we're at the far side of the
Here it is.
farmer's field, and made sighting again about 110 degrees. This looks like it's clear out to the coast. It's right on the horizon. Moves about a bit and flashes from time to time. Still steady or red in color. Also, after negative readings in the center of the field, we're picking up slight readings, 4 or 5 clicks now on the meter. 305, we see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. 305 at about 10 degrees horizon directly north, we've got two strange objects, half-moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. But guess to be about 5 to 10 miles out, maybe less. The half-moons have now turned into full circles. There's one of those eclipse or something there for a minute or two. 03:15 now, we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones to the north are moving, one's moving away from us. It's moving out fast. This one on the right takes away too. Yeah, we're both heading north. Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Well, we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal.
Wow.
330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground.
God.
0400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge Base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down this earlier.
Are you kidding me? That is an audio gem. And oh yeah, it's just the Brits with some flashlights. They didn't have drones. How did those beams, those laser beams, come right out of it? There's a beam coming out of it. How cool. Oh my God. I always thought this was one of the most credible stories ever. I don't know how it could be fake. I don't know. It's better than Bob Lazar, in my opinion. Yeah, it did that binary thing, right? You're right. I'm seeing what you guys are saying. Let me show you here. This is Jim Burrows, I believe his name is. He's the guy who got the message when he touched the UFO. And it's weird, man. I don't know. I want to know where the let me type in Burrows message. And the funny thing about this message is I'm not so sure. Here's what it looks like. He said he remembered this and wrote it down in his notebook. And I'm not sure what the message is, where it is. Is this it? I won't be able to see it, damn it. Something about something with humanity. Here's the glyphs that were on the actual craft. This is what they said was on the craft. Let's see this. You think it's credible because there is distance between you and the UK? To me, from the UK, seems like BS. Everyone in ufology romanticizes these kinds of things. Sometimes these stories are placed. Of course they are. But I don't think this one is. Well, Paul, I respect that, but we just heard Colonel Holt and other people talking about what they were seeing. Doesn't that make sense to you that it's actually happening? And nobody has proven anything else differently. We're not romanticizing it. Nobody here is doing that. I'm talking about what is more credible. So that to me would be a misunderstanding. Maybe you're too far away. Maybe you should come closer so you could understand what I meant. But yeah, I'd like to see what he said. Jim Burrows' message. UFO message, and it's not pulling it up. Let me go to all. Did it do it? Jim Burrows' message. Notebook. So that's the above notebook. What route? Where was the landing site? What flashes of light? What were the landing marks? Was it a hoax? Got out of hand? Listen to the tape. Read the the transcript. Yeah, I want to see what it says. Earth Files? Oh, okay. I want to see what it says. More about Pennis's craft of unknown origin. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of problems with this notebook, by the way. There's so much contradiction, though. It got all muddied. The whole thing got muddied once it went public. That's what happened. And they had to. They had to muddy it up. I think they had to muddy it up because it's too cool. It talks about several men seeing beams of lights being shot at the ground, a fireball moving through the trees, winking light, what looked like molten metal dripping off of the object. Come on. It's all there. All the evidence is there. I tell you what, all I'm doing is saying which one's more credible. This one or Bob Lazar? Yeah, they're saying that's the diagram where the glowing yellow tinge was. Red and blue blinking steady. Yeah. I am not seeing it. I know it says something like, I can't even remember, something about it's like 10th time I've said that. Mankind, I don't know. I don't know why it's not here. Why I can't find it. It should be right there. Let's try it here.
In every
No.
very good
course, to investigate and found not.
And as I walked around it, I was looking for the
Here we
crew
go.
compartment. Finally just dissipated and stopped. And all the sphere of influence around it, around the immediate craft itself, labored up to that point, feeling like I was walking through a pool of water. I was struggling to get close to it. And when I got, let's say within 10 feet of it, all that dissipated. And there was like I call it a sphere of influence around it, around the immediate craft itself. As I got close to the craft, the fabric of the craft where this color was running through, it finally just dissipated and stopped. And all that left was the black opaque craft, which was shiny in nature. And I would describe it as looking like black glass. And it was obvious it was not U.S. Air Force craft. It was still well lit underneath, and I didn't need a flashlight or nothing like that. It didn't have like seams. It didn't have.
You know me. I've seen Penniston tell this story, or Burroughs. What is this guy's name? Did I say Burroughs? Isn't it Penniston who touched it? Penniston. Yeah, I said Jim Burroughs. Isn't it Jim Penniston? I got confused. I don't know. You guys probably caught that earlier and got mad at me. Yeah, it's Jim, right? Jim Penniston. Let me see if this is him. It is. I know it is. Well, you know, he's talking like he's telling the truth. I don't see any deception coming out of him. As a matter of fact, I rarely did. There was one interview he did. I think it was on, might have been a History Channel show. But he was weird. He was just acting weird. Maybe they were pressuring him. Maybe they told him what to say. You never know. That's not normal, but I don't know anymore what happens in mainstream media. It's all lies. But I believe this guy. I believe he touched the craft. It gave him this download of information. I'm not sure. Because he didn't come out with that book until much later. He hid it because he didn't want it taken from him when they were, because the Army guys were pounding him. You know, they were really messing with their minds, trying to get them to not remember what they saw. They were really on top of these guys like white on rice. All right.
when I got to the part where I could actually see the writing on the craft, it was like glyphs. And it wasn't any writing that I've seen before. That's what they looked like. They stretched about 3 feet wide, and they're about 5 to 6 inches high.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is a speaker. This is a water bottle, right? This is a funnel, right? This is them, or it's the craft. I don't know. Showing the type of craft it is. I think this is marking what kind of craft this is. This is like the, I don't know. This could be a future flying Ferrari, and this is how you spell it. That's what I think this is. I think this is denoting what kind of craft this is, and I think, isn't it? Yeah, Jim Peniston. Isn't this something for humanity?
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was very scared, believe me. All this was given in my statement to OSI, down at the OSI building, in my debrief. I mean, I wrote 4 pages out.
Both Peniston's official witness report to the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations and that of the officer he was in radio contact with during the incident describe strange lights and a mechanical object. But much
Story you tell.
when you say he says this, who is that? Who is
I don't know. It's one of the agents. It wasn't an OSI agent either. I knew all the OSI agents. They were suited. That was different. They told me, this is what I do, and this goes away. That's all I wanted to do, is this goes away. I wanted to keep my career intact.
That's a lot to digest. Okay, so I see this binary code. It just fascinates me because Peniston, he just doesn't seem becoming of him at the time.
To programmer with some knowledge of this, and didn't, I think, tell him the full background, but said, what is this? And the result came back that there was a translation. Firstly, there was a message. The translation is exploration of humanity, continuous for planetary advance, eyes of our eyes, origin year 8100. And then a list of what turn out to be longitudinal and latitudinal coordinates.
Longitude and latitude. Don't say longitudinal. You sound like when people say tornadic activity. It's tornado activity. So that's what I'm going off of. And when we look at Bob Lazar, there's just as many holes. And I guess we didn't talk about all of them here, but apparently that message could be interpreted wrong. I don't know how. But where there's one person making one account of what it says, there's another person saying that's not right. So no matter what we do in this field, whether you're telling the truth or you're fibbing, there's always somebody who's right and always somebody who's wrong. There's never a meeting where everybody says, oh yeah, that guy's telling the truth or that guy's lying. But there's many, many, many witnesses to the Rendlesham Forest incident. Whether or not it is being romanticized in our America, because we're so stuck up, we have to romanticize everything, even though you got Jim Peniston here, not Burroughs, talking about what he saw when he touched the craft. I didn't romanticize it. He did. By touching the craft and giving an incredible account. That's romanticizing it? Dude, if that story ever came up today, can you imagine? Well, as you know, Bob Lazar came out of hiding, I think it was 1989, 88? When he thought his life was going to end. You all know Bob Lazar's story. Says he worked at S4 on the, Papoose Lake. Let me pull up some things here. Now, I was starting to talk about this yesterday, but because it was later in the show, like it is now, I was losing my voice. But today, a little bit more, I can go on. I talked about Bob Lazar talking about element 115 and that he didn't discover it. No, there's reports dating back from 1973 onwards. He wasn't the first to talk about the island of stability, a famous concept in physics that was being talked about at least as far back as 1969. The things he said about it not been confirmed by science, quite the opposite actually. He claimed it was a stable element. That's his exact words from an early interview. Element 115 is a stable element, and element 115 is a strictly alien element. All the isotopes of element 115 that have so far been synthesized are highly unstable, with half-lives in the hundreds of milliseconds. So this is the beginning of litany of lies and whoppers from Bob Lazar, claiming that he worked on alien craft, specifically the sports model. But there were 9 of them that he saw by accident, just walking by a room with the door ajar. It just happened to be open. No, man, we walked down the hallways. They just said, keep your eyes shut. I couldn't help it. I had to look. And when I looked into that room, they said, hey, don't look in that room. But I just couldn't help myself. I saw 9. I counted 9 discs. So in 1973, there was a mention of element 115. 74, 75, 76, 78, 79, 81. And a Scientific American article from 89 also mentioning it and alluding to the island of stability that Lazar alludes to. That was published in May of 89, weeks before Lazar came out with his story. All right? So Lazar, smart guy, hey, maybe element 115 was thrown in front of him, and maybe not. Maybe not. Hold on a second. I'm going to refresh to make sure I didn't miss anything. I did miss 2 super chats, I'm sorry to say. No, I got him. Sorry, Lee Guy with Lou Kardashian and Chris Rogers. Got it. All right. So, element 115, all right, it's been talked about for a while. So that, to me, throws Bob Lazar out of that one. He could have stolen all that information. Now, he claimed in the Jeremy Corbell disaster, Lazar, even though it did very well, but it's because it's Bob Lazar, not because of Corbell. The hand scanner. Many people pointed to the hand scanner that Lazar talks about. Proves he worked at S4. Unfortunately, the device was already publicly available knowledge by the early 70s. It was in a 1973 July article of radio electronics. And I do have, I can't find it. I'm not going to look, but there's a link to it. It was also in the 1977 film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So there was a reference that Bob Lazar said to Zeta Reticuli, and that was lifted straight from the Betty and Barney Hill case. That case, by the way, been thoroughly discredited as well. Isn't that sad? Doesn't that make you a little bit sad? That Betty and Barney Hill was debunked? Pretty much. Pretty much. Insofar as being an actual encounter with the extraterrestrials, this is not to dismiss the reality of their experience, whatever it might have been. I mean, they might have had an experience, but the initial analysis by Marjorie Fish using the then latest Star Distance catalog was rendered invalid due to updated star distance measurements taken by the European Space Agency's Hipparcos satellite, thereby negating the alignment of the Hill star map with Fish's 3D model of a Milky Way cluster. I mean, what are the odds that among the many millions of star systems in the Milky Way galaxy that Zeta Reticuli just happens to be the one that turns out to have aliens after all? After being discredited as the source of the Betty aliens, and that this star system just happens to be the one that is already well known among the abduction believers from a famous alien abduction case, Lazar says that he read about the Zeta Reticuli connection in a briefing document, not from Betty and Barney Hill, and that he can't personally vouch for the authenticity of the actual claims made in it. Nice out. In other words, it's nonsense. And it's an example of how Lazar hedges his claims against scrutiny by always adding in a caveat. If it turns out to be true, he can say, see? He can say, I told you so. And if it doesn't, he can say, well, I never said that. The briefing document did. He always has a way out. He's got the perfect answer to every question. He does. And by the time Lazar came out with his story, Zeta Reticuli had become a staple of alien and UFO lore, getting a mention in movies too. Alien and UFO Cover-Up Live from 1988. There was that Demon Core incident. We talked about that yesterday. Claims Bob says about where these crafts came from. Archaeological digs. When he was on Joe Rogan in 2019, when he was with Corbell, do you remember? He claims to have some recollection of being told by Barry that one of the saucers at S4 had been excavated during an archaeological dig. And this is clearly yet another recycled story drawing upon a common trope, likely the ancient astronaut ideas of Eric von Däniken. Which put forth the ancient alien or ancient astronaut hypothesis for extraterrestrial visitation. And the work of Zecharia Sitchin. That's another one. Don't want to forget him. Another ancient astronauts proponent. It could even be drawn from the 1987 novel by Stephen King titled The Tommyknockers, or from the well-known 1982 sci-fi film The Thing. The Thing. That was the remake with Kurt Russell. The Thing even has a scene in which there is an alien flying saucer that was excavated from the ice. Remember? And is reputed to have been buried for over 100,000 years. I love that movie. I love that movie. So all of this stuff, even another movie in 1967, The Quatermass and the Pit, that released as 5 million years to Earth in the US, in which an alien aircraft is unearthed in Britain. Stanley Kubrick, 2001: A Space Odyssey, could have inspired Lazar's claims that he read in a briefing document that aliens had modified 65 sites in our DNA. In truth, UFO lore at the time was already littered with allusions to aliens interbreeding with humans in the ancient past. So bullshit, who cares? Of course Lazar makes no mention of where our genomes, these modifications came from, where they were made or what their effects were. They just were. What chromosomes were involved, for example? What was the nature of these alterations? Well, needless to say, there's zero evidence that aliens have altered our DNA in any way, shape, or form. Other possible sources for the archaeological dig claim include a story that an artificial chamber is under the Sphinx, and a claim from Billy Meyer that there is a chamber under Cheops Pyramid. Is it Cheops? Is it Copes? Cops? Well, it should be noted how prominently ancient Egypt has been featured in ancient astronauts lore. So, Lazar's archaeological digs claim to be a relatively recent addition to his story. He did not convey it in his early interviews. Therefore, it could also be inspired by a more recent sci-fi film, Stargate. A lot of holes in Bob Lazar's story. Things don't add up. He did change that part of the story after the fact. He didn't mention it early on. Where did these 9 discs come from? Well, there were just 9 on the wall. One even looked like it was a top hat. Even had American flag on the side. It tricked me. I always thought this was interesting too. Something he doesn't mention, never talks about. Never talked about contamination. You know, he didn't have to put on a bodysuit, a hazmat suit. He never talked about that. I always thought that was strange. He doesn't mention whether the ship has been disinfected of any alien pathogens before humans were allowed to climb all over it. I mean, the pathogens must surely weigh heavily in the minds of any organization involved in recovering alien technology, wouldn't you think? Don't touch it. It's from another planet. It came through space. It's radioactive. Well, it's been here since 47, Rich. I think it's been decommissioned. Decontaminated? It's been washed with Windex. Windex gets rid of all pathogens. And I thought that was always weird. He also hung out with UFO fanatic John Lear. And others. He's made a lot of nonsensical claims about particle accelerators when he was younger. He was getting basic principles of chemistry wrong. And no corroborated story about building a particle accelerator. He also implies that hydrogen-powered cars are an easily attainable mode of transportation, despite the scientifically established principle that extraction of hydrogen is, at present, prohibitively energetically expensive and cannot be done on the cheap, certainly not by using a particle accelerator. He provides no technical, mathematically rigorous detail for his chemistry and hydrogen propulsion claims, nor has he published any studies in any scientific or engineering journals where he elucidates any such details. He has no patents or inventions to his name, and has presented no material at any innovation or technology conferences, despite claims by his fans to the effect that he is a genius with propulsion systems. Needless to say, his company, United Nuclear, doesn't sell hydrogen in bulk. And he has pioneered no energy revolution. Bob Lazar is a storyteller, and I'm only at the tip of the iceberg. Lazar, and we all know, I'm just repeating things we already know, just as a recollection of things that were talked about that weren't mentioned in the movie, the documentary. When that documentary was made, it was purely biased. There was no push back against who or what Bob Lazar is, does, and can be. But he couldn't name his supervisors at Caltech and MIT. Instead, naming people who never worked at these places. Stan Friedman called him out on it. He didn't even know where the bathroom was. He didn't even know where the cafeteria was. Nor has he ever detailed the results from his MIT master's thesis and the topic of his MIT master's thesis. Magnet hydrodynamics. That was chosen so he could flex his UFO credentials to the UFO crowd. Lazar's credentials from prestigious institutions are oddly uncorroborated by any certificates, documents, papers, mementos, yearbook mentions, photos with colleagues, graduation gowns, letters of congratulations, colleagues vouching for him, or draft or final copies of his thesis documents that should be in his own possession. What were the discoveries or implications of his research? How and with whom did he share these results with? Even his close friend and associate George Napster has asked him to come clean on his credentials so that people can stop discrediting him on this score. But Lazar refuses to do so and clings to the story that he has 2 master's degrees. He can't even verbally describe from his own memory any concrete details, results, or discoveries pertaining to these degrees. Are we to believe that the government therefore also wiped his memory? And that they crawled into the basements and attics of MIT and Caltech alumni in possession of the yearbooks issued in the early 1980s when Lazar supposedly attended these institutions and then erased his name from them? Impossible! Even if the yearbooks came fitted with tracking devices to find every person who has one. Come on! Bob Lazar. His story, although fantastical, requires fantastical evidence. He was friends with, like I said earlier, UFO fanatic John Lear before coming out with his story. I said this years ago. I even said it recently as far as this year, that I think these guys planned it. Lear and I can't remember the other guys. Oh my God, who else was there? Jim Goodall, right? Yeah, I think he was there. John Lear, somebody else. Well, he is closely associated with George Knapp, and George Knapp has a stake in perpetuating the story in order to protect his own reputation. And, I said earlier tonight, who claims to have possession of a video showing element 115, but doesn't know where it is because of all the boxes of crap at his house. Does everybody remember when Jeremy Corbell said, George Knapp gave me everything to go through, sift through, find everything to make the movie? George Knapp gave Jeremy Corbell access to everything Bob Lazar. Now, this story with the boxes, it eerily mirrors Billy Meyer, who also was being promoted by John Lear. A major participant in the Lazar story, yes, lost the original scrolls of the Talmud Emmanuel. Meyer's fabricated religious foundational text that he claims was excavated in 1973 by an Iraqi priest. Knapp's excuse for being unable to cough up the videotape showing element 115 might well be inspired by Meyer's excuse for the Talmud Emmanuel, although more likely it might simply be a separate concocted form of the same get-out-of-jail-free card pulled by disclosure activists who, when they are asked to cough up the goods, stretch it out into drama and theater instead of just providing proof. Either way, it doesn't bode well for Knapp's credibility. Lear repeated Lazar's fanciful claims that he was brought into to tell the physicists at S4 what chemical element they were dealing with. This is a narrative Lazar invokes in his 1993 Nevada Press Q&A. Lazar was also friends with Gene Huff. Oh, that's right. And other UFO enthusiasts, and Lazar's business associate who produced the film The Lazar Tape, and excerpts from the government Bible, which you can buy for $29.95 on VHS back in the day. Huff is one of the people who Lazar supposedly showed test flights of flying saucers to. Remember that? That's right, Gene Huff. He took these guys up there to see on Wednesdays, because there was, quote unquote, less traffic in the area on Wednesdays. Well, Lazar is now closely associated with Jeremy Corbell, who is another peddler of nonsense and pseudoscience. His fans claim that he doesn't associate with the UFO community. Even as he gives speaking tours to UFO conventions, relies upon UFO-affiliated people to promote and validate his story and to keep him relevant. Litters his own story with UFO lore and sells flying saucer merchandise on his company's website. Come on! Come on, it's all about the money, honey. Oh, it makes me so mad. Here's a theory. The government supposedly allowed him to work on their most sensitive project and assigned him to a flying saucer that just happened to look virtually identical to a Type 1 beam ship Billy Meyer dinner plate saucer. The sports model. Oh, whatever. We're also being asked to believe that Lazar knew the test flight schedule, yet he didn't know the pilots involved or how they flew the craft, and that he was reprimanded for getting too close to the other saucers. Remember? He was walking by, there's a saucer with the American flag on it. It's a joke, man. Lazar's claim that Soviet scientists were invited to take part in the reverse engineering program. They weren't. Soviet inspectors were at the Nevada test site to inspect compliance with arms control agreements between U.S. and the USSR, not to assist with reverse engineering classified technology, and there's an article about that in the New York Times, 1988. The Joint Verification Experiment Project, signed in 88, the year before Lazar came out with this story, was set up to verify the yield of nuclear explosions by both sides. The presence of Soviets at the NTS as part of this program had nothing whatsoever to do with flying saucers, alien technology, or Element 115. Another bullshit story. Lazar is just, he is to me, he is a loose cannon. Somebody who owned brothels, who made great claims without great evidence. And Jeremy Corbell should be embarrassed. If I was Jeremy Corbell, I would get out of ufology altogether at this point. Maybe come back in 5 years when it's a different climate, when we're not talking about the same stuff like we're talking about now. He claims that technology should be in the hands of scientific community, yet Lazar has refused to ever be cross-examined by actual scientists about the technology he worked on, or supposedly worked on, even about Element 115. He only ever appears in front of crowds of adoring fans and is only ever interviewed by gullible radio talk show hosts and credulous reporters throwing him softball questions. We've talked about this. Is this the way an actual physicist who not only saw but worked on alien technology would behave? A physicist so brilliant and out of the box in his thinking that he was hired to work on technology from another world? In the early 1990s, Lazar was even invited by Ben Rich, the then head of Lockheed Skunk Works, to give a talk to a gathering of professional aerospace journalists and engineers. Can you imagine Bob Lazar talking to actual aerospace journalists and engineers? Predictably and unsurprisingly, Lazar declined. Yeah, figures. He now claims that he wishes he had kept his mouth shut because he wants to work on the technology, yet he turned down the head of Skunk Works? Who is this guy? On the movement of flying saucers, people claim that Lazar predicted how the gimbal UFO moved. You mean like a regular airplane? Ah, it's so ridiculous. Lazar's character, oh God, he's weird. Putting into immediate question anything and everything he says. He's just that weird. He moved with his second wife into the house where his first wife committed suicide after only a week of her death. Unbelievable. Yeah, did you know he married 2 women? Or he was married with one who died and had another girlfriend he lived with, I think was engaged to, who died. 2 women in his life. You know how many women I've been with? Boop, boop, boop. None of them died. Can we say here, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is more than meets the eye with Bob Lazar? Jim Peniston didn't talk about his wives dying. This guy is scary. Bob Lazar, and we've talked about it many times, I think he's dangerous not only to himself, but to any woman who is in a relationship with him. If I found out if I was dating any woman, I don't care how beautiful, how smart, how rich, if I found out that 2 of your exes died and nobody can figure it out, I'm done. But he moves into the house of one of his ex-wives who committed suicide, apparently, allegedly. George Knapp himself called the police on Lazar because he felt that the brothel involvement would ruin the credibility of an alien reverse engineer story and jeopardize his own reputation as a reporter if it wasn't nipped in the bud. What? I got to listen to this.
Lazar. Bob comes to me. I was out of Channel 8 working on some private projects. Bob comes to me and says, hey, by the way, I'm involved in this little brothel operation. It's a legal brothel. It's operating in a couple of apartment buildings. I got to know the lady running it, and I'm trying to help her. I put in some security cameras and computer codes and stuff like that. I go, are you kidding me? And he says, oh, yeah, by the way, it's on the same street where you live.
Yeah, easy access.
My professional life flashes before my eyes. I don't know what to do. I said, I don't believe you, show it to me. And he took me to it, and sure enough, there it is.
Of course. I bet you George even had a happy ending. What's going on with this thing? There we go. I'm sorry if that was a little bit blurry. So just to go through the rest of, there's so much I didn't realize how much I've talked tonight. He claims that he caught a glimpse of something that might have been an alien when he walked past the door or window at S4 base, but that he was told to keep his eyes forward. People claim that he's never made, any money out of his story. That exact opposite is the case. He's made money from the sale of the aforementioned Lazar tape, co-produced with Gene Huff, TV interviews with foreign networks, his consultation with the Testers toy model company, and the model kit they produced for the sports model saucer, his current sale of Area 51 and S4 related merchandise on his United Nuclear Company's website, including signed prints of his sport model. I never once made any money on this. So, what do you think, man? Overlords. Here's a TV show called Overlords of the UFO. It was a TV special documentary, 76. And here you can see a bell-shaped scout ship type craft using anti-gravity, according to the narrator, with the Adamski-style triple semi-spheres on the underside, and commentary about how the spheres allow the craft to become immune to the effects of gravity, and that a glow starts to surround the saucer. Note how Lazar's story, as mentioned, has the sports model with 3 gravity waveguides, but also a semi-spherical reactor into which element 115 is inserted. And then Lazar also mentions a corona discharge. Another similarity between Adamski's stories and Lazar's. Unbelievable. All these TV shows, UFOs Are Real, Contact from the Pleiades, In Search of, UFO Cover-Ups, Hangar 18, the motion picture, UFO Syndrome, another documentary, all these before Bob Lazar came forward. The Cosmic Conspiracy. George Knapp interviews John Lear on TV News On the Record in 87. Remember, George Knapp is friends now, but John Lear was friends with Bob Lazar. Where on this TV show, On the Record, the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers, 3 of which have been in perfect condition, 1 of which they tried to fly. Lazar claims that he saw 9 flying saucers at S4, and that 1 shows signs of damage from firearms. He also claims that he was present at S4 to view the test flight of 1. Why is Lazar a fraud? From his own mouth. This is from a transcript of his 1993 press Q&A session in Rachel, Nevada. Oh, wow. Bob, question. The microwave frequency going to the waveguide is electromagnetic, or that's gravitational. Bob Lazar. They're one and the same. QF. I don't understand what you meant by that. Bob Lazar. Gravity is. Unfortunately, physics hasn't gotten to that part yet. How the hell does he know that? But gravity essentially is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Then what frequency is it, Bob Lazar? That's something I'm reserving for myself. Oh my God. Anyway, I will put the link to all that stuff in the description of tonight's show. Who do you think is or has the most credible story or the most lies? I'm telling you, I like Rendlesham. I give thumbs up on Rendlesham. If you believe that. Who do you believe? 1, Rendlesham, or 2, Bob Lazar? I'd like to see what people say. If you could, ever so kindly. Lee Guy, the Baconator, for $5 says, thank you for the super chat. Watched Knight Rider the other day. Episode had a hideout in the desert with sand-painted doors to blend in. Emoji. I love it. Thanks, Lee Guy. I know. Isn't that funny watching those old shows? It's funny how this stuff is always replayed, repackaged, repurposed. Mucho gusto generoso, Lee Guy. So, a continuing supporter of Goofon. And for that, you get this. Mucho gusto, grazie. You're a good man. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Let me just check one more time. Thank you, Lee, the Baconator guy. Yep, I got everybody. So that's it for tonight. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I don't see a lot of 1s and 2s here, so you guys have a good night. Thank you, moderators and super chatters. I appreciate everything you do, because without you, the show does not run smoothly. And I like to thank the veterans and the newcomers. If you're new here and you like the show, give it a thumbs up. We like to see 50 comments and 200 thumbs up. We, for some reason, And moderators, I have to do something. Do not be upset with me. There has been a glitch in my matrix. So I am having a problem with some of you being mods. So if you weren't, I didn't see anybody say anything. It looked like everything was working fine. But I was making some changes and I couldn't save it. So I don't know if it went through, but it looks like it did. Can't do it without you. Coral, have a wonderful birthday. You are an incredible person and you mean a lot to GoofOn and the GoofOn chat. And you do an incredible job. All the mods do here. I think we have the best chat room on the internet as far as UFOs and the paranormal go. You guys are incredibly smart, incredibly kind, and incredibly generous. And I can't thank you enough for all you do for GoofOn. So thank you very much. And we are GoofOn, so we'll be back tomorrow night with Michael Schratt. It's going to be a great show. He is going to dazzle us with this tons of historic and recent stuff that we're starting to see things come around again that were seen many decades ago. It's just going to be great stuff. So Schratt will be around tomorrow. So come back and then we'll see you then. Third Phase UFO Report, maybe a little later tonight too. I know, I'm trying. I'm just tired. So, GoofOn, what are we? Truthology for ufology. I really can't. I just can't believe. Do you know we're now 3 years old? We have to have this Saturday we're going to have a 3-year party. All right, Saturday in the UK we're going to have a 3-year anniversary party for GoofOn. I want it on the 11th. I really want it on the 12th. But we'll see you tomorrow with Michael Schratt, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, right here on GoofOn. Good night, everybody.